Good morning. I just recorded a long video about how to keep raw rock hydrated to make it work better, but it was too long, and I can make it a lot more concise. So here I am sorting out my Wyoming rock. This stuff was dug underground, so construction rock can have good areas of chert and high silica, usually along the outside, and then the inside can be a lot tougher. And when it's deep underground, it doesn't freeze and thaw, so nature hasn't sorted it out. And most commercial rock that you buy is balled and processed, stored indoors, and then it loses its water. It generally isn't selected for smaller pieces of the higher quality areas, carefully trimmed. It's usually broken up and then either slabbed or heat treated. So a lot of nappers get frustrated because they try to get good rock when they want to do a specific project and they can't find it. And part of the reason they can't find it is because a lot of this really good rock, once it dries out, it's a lot harder to work. So I'm sorting it out and putting the stuff that's high quality, high silica, raw, into a bucket of water. And it'll keep the moisture in it and makes it chip a lot better. Why does that happen? Well, I could just go on and on and on, but you can Google it, and Google knows as much as I do. All I know is it chips a lot better. And so it's kind of frustrating to me that all rock is heat treated if you go to Napa to buy it, because people want to work the easiest stuff, but it limits what you can do with it, because sometimes you need this rock, if that had been cooked, because it was such a thick area with cracks and seams, I had to carefully spall it apart and then try to get a large piece, and then I had to really apply tons of force to get it to flake right. So if that had been heated, that point would have been broken. So selecting the mid-range to high grade rocks and leaving them raw, it gives you way more options with what you can do. This quartzite can't be heat treated, and this jasper wouldn't be heat treated. This is the jasper that comes out with this chert. Sometimes it's welded together. It's a really neat Precambrian hydrothermal formation at the Sunrise Iron Mine there. It's awesome stuff. So I've been enjoying working it. And this is a conglomerate. This is hard rock, but it behaved. And that rock would have gotten really squirrely with heat because of the different variability and hardness and quartz. I've been napping long enough that I know that I can keep the integrity in pieces a lot of times better if it's raw. But you have to collect material and know a lot about it. So I'm just informing you with what I know. I don't want everyone to chip like me or think they have to do it like me. But I really see a lot of nappers trying to reach out to me to get raw rock, and it's such a low percentage of the rock that's available, so they're probably gonna have to source their own or buy commercial rock that's raw and then try soaking it. Once it's completely dried out for years, it might take months and months and months to get the water back in. So if you just put it in a bucket, put a lid on it, throw some bleach in it, and you'll be good to go. So let's take a look at these really quick. These are some recent work that I've done. I like to go through themes where I did so many notch points. I made that Indiana hornstone for a long time. Before that, I made all the Texas points. So I've been doing mostly raw paleoforms, and some of them are ones similar to ones found at the Powers 2 site. So some of the jasper has a lot of inclusions and has problems, but it adds character. This is ivory and antler punch for the clobuses mostly. Some buffalo pressure, and John Kieran gave me a sheephorn, mountain sheephorn, which I've been using too, so that's what I did this one. And the hard agates would have the light in it. It pressure flakes really well. The punch platforms have to be very precise and high energy, but it's just so predictable. So yep, I'm gonna go through this because I'm going on a trip. I want to make sure that this doesn't dry out. When you chip this stuff, water seeps out of the crystals and the seams. So before winter, some of this I'll store inside, and some of this that'll probably chip raw, because if that gets heat treated, that's gonna get so brittle. And there's some seams and stuff, so pieces like this can be dubious, but hopefully I'll get something out of it. But the creme de la creme is the clear agate stuff. Like that. That's one to just keep in the bucket. and make a nice small point out of it later. So, I don't have a lot of knowledge about rock recipes and heat treating. I've just sort of mostly heat treated the Midwestern cherts in like Burlington, and mostly enjoy working raw chert. So if you keep it wet, it works a lot better. And there's a reason why they chipped a lot of raw stuff. It wasn't because they didn't know about heat treating. It's because they needed the strength. Like I said, I think I said that would have broke a whole bunch of times if I had heat treated that. I wouldn't have been able to make this point. I needed the strength. This is almost a little too thin, but the preform was torquey, and it was so thick near the tip that I'm not thrilled with that point as far as like my best work ever, but for that rock, it was a masterpiece. So I wanted to tackle that because it was fresh in my mind working the stuff, and I wouldn't get yellow wrist a year later picking that out of the bucket thinking I had to do something. So you can also make preforms and then work on them a little bit at a time. I think that helps too. Not all knapping needs to be set down and just knock a point out. Some of these things, they worked on as a life cycle, and they'd spend a lot of time. So they'd last for years, and they can improve them and flake them and work them down and resharpen them and things like that. So Rico's barking, I'm gonna let him inside. So this was the 6-minute version. Probably less information than the one that I just burned, but hope it helped. Thank you.